Why am I coughing? Why am I coughing? Because I'm on the East Coast right now and everybody's coughing. Why? Because there's some wildfires up in Canada, and those wildfires in Canada are sending smoke down the East Coast. And you look outside your window, you cannot see the sky. I was visiting a relative in my own hometown, and I looked out the window, and normally you could see the center city of Philadelphia. It's called Center City in Philadelphia. You could see it. You could see the bright lights. It's very nice. Great skyline, but you can't see crap. You can't even see the clouds because of the smoke from all of those Canadian wildfires that the pressure systems are shooting down to the East Coast and making the air really, really bad. All of my East Coast people are complaining about the air. And do you know how sometimes something bad happens to you, but other people have had that bad thing happen to them a whole bunch of times, or they've had it before, or they've gone through it before, and they feel no sympathy for you? Well, that's what my West Coast friends are dealing with right now, because on the West Coast, there's a fire season. So the stuff that people are going through right now, which is kind of an anomaly, doesn't happen that often. Wow, I can't believe it. Once in a lifetime is a season in California. Yeah, I said it. And I know this because I am an East Coast guy by birth, but I spent almost a decade of the whole decade of the 90s living in California. So they have a fire season. So now when the news spreads of the smoke and the wildfires happening in Canada and the smoke coming to the East Coast, my West Coast friends are going, oh, y'all are some punks. Complaining about that. We go through that several times a year, every year. Shut up, punks. We don't feel bad for you. Shut up. After I came back to the East Coast, there was an earthquake in my hometown. I was visiting some relatives. Maybe I'm bad luck because the last time I visited them was an earthquake. This time it's a smoke. Maybe it's me. No, it's not. But there was an earthquake, and it was like a 4.9 or something. And that's the kind of earthquake, if you live on the West Coast, and I was out there for the Northridge quake, one of the big earthquakes, one of the wow earthquakes. A 5 is something that you don't even pay attention to. At the most, you hold your cup and pick it up a little bit so it doesn't knock your coffee out of the side of the cup if the cup's full. You don't even break a conversation for a 4 or a 5 when you're living in California after you've been through the Northridge quake, or if you've been there for a long period of time and been through several of them, it's not a big deal. So when they had an earthquake here, there was a punk quake compared to what happens in California. Of course, my West Coast friends started laughing at me, trying to tease me, and just like they try to tease me about the smoke, but they forgot. I technically am kind of one of them. They were like, yes, you can't handle the earthquake. Oh, that's right, you were here for the Northridge quake. Oh, never mind. You can't handle the smoke. Oh, you were out here for almost 10 years going through about 55 of these fires. Oh. Now, why did I bring that up other than the fact that the air sucks right now? I brought that up because when you think about the Canadian wildfires and how the fires are wafting smoke because of the air pressure system, they're pushing smoke down the East Coast and damaging the air quality. In some places, it's dangerous air quality on the East Coast. It's because I was thinking about it. How many times in your life has something that was not your fault, something that you do not deserve, come wafting into your life, causing damage, and you don't deserve it? You didn't do anything, right? Sometimes you see something on the news, you see a 24-car pileup, and you know that 23 of those cars probably didn't do, let's say 22 of those cars probably didn't do anything wrong. A lot of times you find out that it's somebody driving too fast and hydroplaning, someone driving too fast and not paying attention. Maybe it's 2 cars that are having road rage and they crash and a whole bunch of cars pile up behind them. And you're driving at the speed limit. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're watching the road. You're driving in such a way that it's so safe. People always make fun of you. And they go, you drive like a grandfather. Ha ha. You driving at the speed limit. Come on, man. You can go faster than that. At least go 5 miles above the speed limit, man. Come on, man. What you doing, man? You drive like my grandfather. You drive like my grandfather. For those of you wondering what that sound is, once again, unfortunately, I have not gotten an opportunity to get back to where I can get my hands on my equipment, so I'm doing this on my phone. So that was a notification. Please ignore that. Back to the story. So, but the thing is, people tease you about that. And then, of course, the car in front of you abruptly stops, and the car in front of them abruptly stops, and the car behind them abruptly stops. A car to the side weaves, the car to the other side weaves, and they crash into you, and you get stuck between those cars because there's a crash. Then some cars crash behind them, and some cars crash behind them, and some cars crash behind them, and you're on the news. 24 car pileup, 12 car pileup. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong, but you're stuck. Your car's messed up. Maybe your car's damaged beyond repair. Maybe it'll take a couple of weeks to get it fixed. Maybe you have to pay this big deductible and you drive so carefully, it really wasn't a big deal to have $1,000 deductible, but you didn't expect this. This kind of thing, much like the wildfires, came wafting into your life. You didn't do anything wrong, but it affected you negatively. Now, I don't know why the wildfire started. I'm not saying that somebody in Canada did something. I don't know whether somebody threw a cigarette butt out the window. I don't know if it was about the bottom of a hot car. I don't know if somebody did some kind of, camping and didn't put the fire out. I don't know if it was some kind of natural occurrence. I don't know. But at the very minimum, the people on the East Coast didn't do anything to deserve all that smoke coming down. Right? And the people that are in Canada that are living near that, they didn't deserve that, right? That kind of thing just kind of washed over you and you didn't do anything to deserve it, but it's affecting you negatively and it sucks. I can tell you a personal story about something that happened that affected me negatively and I didn't do anything wrong. I did nothing wrong. It was a bunch of my friends. We're all cool and we're all having a great time. We're all good buddies, right? We're all in serious relationships. I'm with a long-term girlfriend. Some of these other guys are married. There was one guy, a bit of a player back in the day, but he settled down. He settled down, and that's why we hung out with him, because we didn't want to be around him when he was acting wild back in the day. But we go off someplace and we're hanging out. He sees this delicious woman. Now, I saw the delicious woman. We all saw the delicious woman. But we're all in happy relationships, and we're not going to disrespect our... Wait a minute, okay, maybe we're not going to disrespect our woman, but this guy's going to disrespect his woman. All of our ladies are friends. All of us are friends. And this guy who we're hanging out with is now being a little too friendly with that other lady. We think he's just flirting. We're not paying attention. And his hand's on her backside. And she's sitting in his lap. And her hand's under the table. This is not good because it's none of our business. He's a grown man. But we also know, just like you know, if you have a girlfriend or a wife and she's hanging out with her friends and her friends are all doing things that single women do but going over the top with it, you don't necessarily want your wife hanging around those people because she's in a bad situation, just like your wife doesn't want you hanging around with a bunch of wild guys going to strip clubs and things like that because you could be in a bad situation. And in this particular case, this guy is already in a bad situation, right? The lady leaves and we're going, oh, I'm so glad that this, because it's going to make us look bad. He comes back to the table. I got to see you guys later, guys. Oh, you going home now? No. I'm going to go with this girl right here and I'm going to. And then he described the activity that was going to be happening with him and that lady because she left to go get a hotel room for the two of them. Oh, no. Wow. Why, bro? Why? And he's not the smartest guy in the world. He's not a dumb guy. But when it comes to cheating, he wasn't the smartest guy in the world. He had matchbooks in his pocket. He gave a girl his real phone number and she texted him. That was great and all that kind of crap. And because he hadn't cheated before, he wasn't in the habit of checking his phone and erasing messages. And his wife wanted to play one of those video games that he had on the phone, a Tetris or some crap like that. And bing, 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 a message comes in and she's talking about the stuff that he did to her buttocks. Right? And at first she thought it was one of the guys doing a prank. Then she realized none of us do pranks like that because we're not 12. And he got in trouble. Now, it wasn't that a big deal that he got in trouble. But you have to remember, we're all friends and our girlfriends / wives are all friends at the time, right? And what happened? If he's doing that and we didn't say anything about it, keep in mind at the time we were trying to talk him out of it. I forgot to tell you that. We tried to talk him out of it. I forgot to tell you. Don't do it, we said to him. But he said, nah, I got to do this. Look at that boy. Look at that woman. I got to do this to that stuff and do some good stuff and touch her stuff and have her touch my stuff and put my stuff with her stuff and do lots of stuff. That's what he wanted to do. Oh, no. So if you have a friend like that and you didn't say anything, maybe you did something too. Why didn't you tell on him? Why didn't you tell us? Is that the kind of thing you guys do when you're out? He's in the hotel room doing something with another lady. What happened? Are you guys covering for him? Maybe you guys are doing something. And all of a sudden, because of this guy doing something that we didn't agree with and tried to talk him out of, all of a sudden the smoke, the Canadian fire of him going into the hotel room with that lady, the 23-car pileup of him going to the room with that young lady, messed up our metaphorical cars, messed up our metaphorical air. Oh no. Fortunately for me, it's a well-known thing that I've never cheated on anybody, and I never will. So I had a really strong reputation of that. Even my ex-girlfriends will tell you that. So I was able to withstand the scrutiny. My girlfriend looked at me, at the girl at the time, and she goes, "How come you didn't say anything?" I said, "I tried to talk him out of it. I told her the truth. And she wasn't mad at me. She directed all of her vitriol towards him. But my other friends were not so lucky. Their girlfriends did what I like to refer to as kick their butts, right? They got in trouble. Some of them were on the couch. I was on the couch too, but I was on the couch with the woman I was dating, getting it on with her, but that's a different story. It gave her some real good deep business. So good she thought it was Christmas. But I miss Anthony. Back to the story. So these guys got in trouble for something they didn't even do. Because of that guy. And isn't it a bad thing when somebody else does something wrong and then you get in trouble for it? Doesn't that absolutely stink and suck and blow? I know it does. You did nothing wrong. That happens a lot. It happens when you're a kid, right? Some other kid does something, lies, and you get in trouble. Right? You get, maybe if your parents are into corporal punishment, if they do corporal punishment, you get a spanking, they don't, or they get a spanking, but you didn't deserve the spanking. Then after you got the spanking, if you didn't get spanked, you got your video game taken away from you, or you got grounded for something, and then you find out later on, you had nothing to do with it, and you go, "Oh, sorry about that." Then you get like an extra scoop of ice cream. I'm going, yeah, you got an extra scoop of ice cream, but that's not going to unwhoop my butt. That's not going to give me back the 2 weeks of not playing my video games, and it's not going to unground me because now that girl I wanted to talk to is now talking to somebody else's parents. But you don't actually say that because then if your parents are the kind of parents that spank you'd get you behind a whoop for real this time. I mean for good butt whooping, what you actually deserve for talking to them like that. Then your stuff gets taken away again. You get grounded again. Which would also be that other kid's fault because you wouldn't be acting this way if you didn't get the whooping or the grounding or the stuff taken away the last time because of that punk. But I digress. But what I'm saying is, isn't that kind of a sucky thing? You didn't do anything wrong, and all of a sudden you got to take the consequences of something somebody else did. Not cool. But as far as my Canadians, I'm hoping that this fire gets put out and everybody gets made whole again. You know, everybody's suffering from the bad air. I'm one of them because I'm on the East Coast myself, and I know there's a lot of really sucky air going on around here right now, and it's like, goodness gracious, this air sucks. I was outside going to the supermarket for an older relative, and I look up to the sky, and what do I see? Nothing. Ooh. So I hope you're out there wearing your mask, and I hope this doesn't turn into some kind of mask debate. You know, it's bad air. If you want, I didn't put a mask on out, but I also, you have the button in your car where it lets air in from outside, and you press the button and it stops air from coming in from outside. Of course, I kept the air outside. But if you're on the East Coast of the country and you're listening to me right now, I hope everything's going well for you. I hope that very, very soon, in a few days, this crap will be going away. And it may not be the best air, but at least it'll be not as unhealthy as it actually is right now. So if you're listening to this and you don't have to go outside, please stay in the house. You don't want to breathe in that crap. And if you're going outside, please put on a mask. You don't want to breathe in that crap. Trust me, it sucks, I'm sure. Because, daggone well, I got to what I needed to do, finished up my whatever I had to do really quickly, and got my behind back in the house with the quickness, right? And more important than anything, this episode is over. And I hope that some bad stuff that is not your problem, not your fault, doesn't wash over you and wreck your day. I really hope not, okay? Okay? So hopefully very, very soon I'll be able to get back to my regular equipment and I won't have to keep my podcast schedule by recording on my phone. But you guys are still listening anyway, and like I said, I apologize for that. I don't have my normal sound quality, but I'm just trying to keep up my schedule. You guys want me to keep to my schedule. I'm trying to keep to my schedule as much as possible because I appreciate you guys listening and all that kind of stuff. No matter where you are in the world, because I know there's people in different countries that are listening to this podcast. I just want to say thank you for that. If you listen to this podcast and you got this far, and you did, do me a favor, please recommend this podcast to someone that you know, a friend, a loved one. Do it. Bring back people to the family. If you listen to this on a podcatcher, and of course you are, because there's no other way to listen to this, make sure that you subscribe to this podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure that you follow this podcast. If you're following me on social media, do me a favor. If you see a link to this podcast being retweeted, re-Facebook, reblog, re-whatever the heck I've decided to do, make sure that you retweet it, re-Facebook it, reblog it, re-Sassafras, Jehoshaphat, whatever the hell crap is, whatever that is, make a link back to this, okay? Just understand that I appreciate you, my friends. Much love to you, my friends. And yes, some of you have asked me whether or not I'm going to have more guests on this show, the S. Anthony Thomas Show. See, I'm coughing right now. Yes, Anthony Thomas Show. Of course I will. I'm lining up some things. And also, in the near future, I'm going to go back to doing longer episodes of this podcast. I've been keeping it kind of short because I wanted to do some other things I was working on. But back in the day, the podcast was a little bit longer than it is right now. So I'm going to go back to doing longer versions of the podcast, maybe breaking it up into segments so you can listen to the segments and things of that nature. But it's going to be a little bit of a slight change, but it's still going to be me, your favorite play uncle, as Anthony, okay? Much love to you all. Thank you for listening, my friends. And like I said, make sure you subscribe to this podcast because I'm going to, just like this time, I'm going to keep popping in every once in a while. Even when it's not on schedule, I'm going to pop in because I miss talking to you, okay? Much love to you, my friends, and I will see you later. Because I'm in your phone staring at you right now. Stop digging in your nose. That's gross. Yeah, you. Come on, man. All right, the podcast is almost over, and you're digging in your nose. That's, you know what? I'm getting out of your phone. Much love to you guys. Take care. See you next time.